you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. I stepped out to take the trash down. I was gone less than 3 minutes, and when I came back, my door was deadbolted from the inside, and I live alone. I rent a 1-bed flat in a 6th-floor apartment block in northeast London. It's not glamorous, it's thin walls, dodgy heating, but it's safe enough. 2nd floor, quiet neighbours, no break-ins, no trouble. I'd lived there a year and had a good routine. I worked during the day, decompress at night. I watch something, light dinner and sleep. That night, I was binge watching old Taskmaster. Ate 2 microwave burritos. The flat smelled like salt and hot sauce. Around 10:45 PM, I took the trash out, as usual. It's a single chute room, 2 doors down from mine. I left my flat unlocked. Stupid, maybe, but I never had issues. I was only stepping out for a minute, but when I came back, the deadbolt was locked from the inside. I stopped cold. The door wouldn't budge. The handle turned, no click. I tried again. Deadbolt. Now, the only way to set the bolt is from inside the flat, manually. No smart locks, no keys on the outside. I stood there with a bin liner in my hand, heart suddenly hammering. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I stepped back. I looked up and down the corridor, completely empty. I knocked. No sound. I waited 30 seconds, and then again, a knock, but louder this time. Then I heard it. Movement. The soft creak of the floorboards. Someone was inside. I dropped the bag and ran to the neighbour across the hall and pounded on their door. No answer. The flat to the right, empty. I had 2 options. I wait or call for help. I called the police, told them I was locked out of my own flat and someone might be inside. They said they'll dispatch someone. Estimated time, 18 minutes. That felt like hours. At 11:03 PM, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer, and then the door to my flat, still bolted, creaked loudly. I stepped closer. Under the crack, I saw a light flicker. My kitchen light was now on. Then it clicked off. The police arrived around 11:09. 2 officers, serious-faced, and asked the usual questions. I handed over my ID. I confirmed tenancy. They knocked, identified themselves. No answer. After a minute, one of them gestured to the other. They moved to force the door open. Did it in 2 hard kicks. The bolt splintered. Stepped in, torches out. I stood behind them, heart thudding. The flat was empty. No one. Closet, empty. Bathroom, clear. Balcony door, locked from the inside. Under the bed, nothing. But 3 things were different. 1. The lights were off, including the kitchen, which I saw turn on from the hallway. 2. My bedroom window, usually shut tight, was now open half an inch. And 3. My keys had been moved from the hook and were now sitting on the kitchen table. I hadn't left them there. The officers did a full sweep, said maybe someone snuck in and out, though they admitted it was unlikely from the 2nd floor with no sign of the window being tampered. They left around 11:40 after advising I get the lock replaced. The next morning, I barely slept. I had the flat rekeyed at 8 AM. I spent most of the morning checking my cameras. Now, here's the thing. I don't have indoor cams, just a small ring cam pointed at my front door. I scrolled through the night's footage. Nothing between 10:30 and 11:10, except one corrupted file. 10:54 PM. It was labelled motion detected. I tapped it. The video wouldn't load. Black screen. Just one frame stuck. It showed my door ajar, just wide enough for a hand. The frame glitched every time I tried to download it, so I took a screenshot. I zoomed in, and I saw something that made me physically shiver. Just inside the door, barely visible, was an outline of a person. wearing my hoodie. But I hadn't worn that hoodie in weeks. It had been sitting in the laundry basket. I checked the basket, the hoodie was gone, and 3 days later, it showed up again, folded, placed neatly on my bed. I don't know how, no signs of entry, no alert from the camera, no broken locks. But ever since then, I checked the bolt twice, because sometimes I wake up and it's unlocked, not open, just unlocked. And I know I didn't forget because I take photos every night now to prove it to myself. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But if you ever step out, just for a moment, don't leave your door unlocked, because maybe they're just waiting for the easiest way in, and once they've been inside once, they don't always leave. If you made it this far, maybe you're not like the others. Hit subscribe and I'll keep the stories coming. The landline rang. It was my dad's voice, but my dad died 6 years ago and I was the only one home. This happened in 2018. I was 22, college dropout, living back at home after my mum moved abroad to be with her sister. She trusted me to watch the house. It's the one I grew up in. 3 bedrooms, detached, quiet cul-de-sac in Ohio. We'd switched everything over to mobile years before, but for some reason, the old landline was still plugged in. A big beige thing on the wall in the kitchen. It never rang, no one ever called. We didn't even know the number. Until the night it rang. It was Friday, storm rolling in, rain pelting the windows like a metronome. I just finished brushing my teeth when I heard it. The shrill, unmistakable ring of the landline. 2 rings. 3. I walked into the kitchen, confused. The screen said, Dad. That's what I used to have saved in my old mobile for him, back when we still had caller ID sharing between lines. But this was the landline, and his number, disconnected since 2012. I answered, hello? Nothing. And then, crackling. Then, his voice. Check the garage. Same tone, same cadence. Then the line went dead. I stood frozen in the kitchen, the phone still in my hand. He said, check the garage. I hadn't opened it in weeks. I flipped the hallway light on and walked slowly to the side door. The lock turned smoothly and I stepped inside. The garage smelled of dust and rust, pitch dark except for a small window catching lightning flashes. I looked around. Nothing had moved until I stepped towards the tool shelf and kicked something soft. I looked down. A photo album. One I haven't seen since his funeral. Open to a page of me and him at the lake, fishing. The page it was open to, dated May the 6th, the day he died. The next night, same time, 11:42 PM, same ring, same name. I let it go to voicemail. I checked the recording the next morning. His voice again. Don't answer the door tonight. That's all he said, and then silence. I stared at the handset. No way this was real. I checked the call log. No trace, no outgoing, no incoming, just blank. That night, I stayed up, just in case. Around 12:17 AM, someone knocked. 3 soft taps, not loud, not desperate, just testing. I didn't move, I didn't look. Eventually, the porch light clicked off, and it was quiet. The third call, Sunday, 11:50 PM. The phone rang again. This time, I answered immediately. Dad? Dad? Crackling, and then, someone's inside already. My legs nearly gave out. I grabbed a knife from the drawer and I backed into the living room, heart pounding. Silence. No footsteps, no creaking, no signs of anyone. Until I turned towards the hallway. The attic pull-down ladder was open, just a few inches, and the rope was swinging. I called the police. They arrived, searched the place top to bottom. No signs of forced entry. but one of them, an older officer, stayed behind, asked if I've ever had grief-related trauma. I said yes. He said he understood. Then he walked to the landline, stared at it for a while and said, "We used to get calls like this in the 90s. People said their relatives were trying to warn them. I never believed it. But you should unplug this, right now." I did. I tossed it in a box. I cut the line. Everything went quiet for a week. And then, one night, my mobile buzzed. Private number. I answered without thinking. Silence. And then, "The attic again." That's all. And since then, I've moved twice. I got a new number. But once a month, always the same date, around the same time, a call comes in. Blocked. I don't answer anymore, because if it was really my dad, he's not talking to me now. He's just warning me. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But if a phone starts ringing late at night, especially one you never use, don't answer, because sometimes the dead don't want to say goodbye, and sometimes they just want you to survive what they couldn't. If you made it this far, maybe you're not like the others. Hit subscribe and I'll keep the stories coming. I keep hearing knocks from inside the walls. I thought it was old plumbing, but it wasn't. There was someone inside the crawl space. They'd been there for weeks. I just moved to Texas. I took a new job in Austin and rented a single-story house on the edge of a quiet neighborhood. It was nothing fancy. 2 beds, a fenced yard, 60s build, and slightly uneven floors. The kind of place that creaks when you breathe too loud. But it was cheap, and I was alone, so I took it. First few nights were peaceful, and then the noise started. The knocking. It was faint, almost like tapping, behind the bedroom wall. It happened around 1-2 a.m, just as I'd start drifting off. I figured it was bad pipes or rats in the walls. Typical rental house nonsense, but the pattern was too consistent. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more, and then silence. Some nights it wouldn't happen at all. Other nights it would repeat every hour, almost exactly on the dot. Still, I didn't panic. I recorded it, sent it to the landlord. He said, "Old place, probably pipes expanding." I let it go, until one night I heard the knock from under the floor. My bedroom sits above a low crawl space, only about 3 feet deep, and that night I was lying in bed with the TV off. Everything was still, and then a thump right beneath me. It wasn't a scurry or a creak, it was a thump, like something shifting its weight, and then a scrape, like a hand dragging across the underside of the floorboards. I froze. No pets, no roommates, it's just me and that noise. I jumped up, I flicked the hallway lights on and ran outside to the crawl space hatch. It was closed, but something smelled wrong, like sweat and mildew, too strong for rats. I went back inside and put a chair against the bedroom door. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I called pest control. I asked them to check the crawl space. They came out, pulled open the hatch and shined a torch in. 10 seconds later, the guy said, "Hey, you've got a squatter." I said, "What?" "Someone's been down there. There's food wrappers, bottle caps, old blankets." I walked over and looked in. He wasn't lying. At the far end, behind the ductwork, a nest of blankets, empty cans and fast food bags. And worst, a spiral notebook. I flipped through it, page after page of hand-scrawled sentences. He comes home at 6:42 p.m. He eats toast on Thursdays. He has bad dreams. They were all about me. I filed a police report. They sent someone out to check for signs of forced entry. They found none. No prints, no signs of anyone in the main house. But there was a note, taped to the inside of the crawl space hatch. It read, "I'm just watching, don't worry." And on the back, "Sometimes I stand up when he's sleeping." I brought a security camera, pointed it at the Crawlspace hatch, motion activated. It sent alerts to my phone. 2 nights passed, nothing. 3rd night, 3:14 AM, motion detected. I opened the app, black screen. The camera had been disabled manually. The next morning, I found it unscrewed and placed neatly on the floor. I called the cops again. They swept the Crawlspace, nothing this time. But I knew he'd been there, I could feel it. And that night, I stayed up with a knife in my hand and my phone camera recording. At 2:58 AM, I heard it again. The knock, then a low scrape, and then a whisper right under my bed. "Don't leave, I just learned your name." I moved out within 48 hours, didn't even pack everything. I lost the deposit, I didn't care. 3 weeks later, a friend who lived nearby sent me a listing for the same house, but the photo showed something new. In the Crawlspace, just barely visible in the corner of the image, a white paper plate with toast crust on it. I never told anyone about the toast. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But if you live alone and you hear something behind the wall, don't ignore it, because the only thing worse than someone breaking into your home is learning they never left.